Well, better than 10 points, right? Better than 10 points, and we're doing it in class. So shouldn't you all get 20 points? Should all get 20 points. Well, all but one person will get 20 points. Okay. So, and now, folks, I am going to send you a survey by email. It's going to ask you some questions. Shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. I would appreciate you filling it in and sending it back to me. Okay? I have put it together, the survey, that a colleague of mine at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio, you may have heard of Case Western. It's a very, very good university, very expensive private university. He's helping me with it. He's reviewing it. As soon as he gets it back to me, I'll send it to you, okay? But I really would appreciate your cooperation in sending it to me. The exam, I'm going to try to send it out Monday. It may go out Sunday night. At this moment, I haven't even decided what's on it, but we'll have something there that's representative of everything we've done this semester, okay? So you'll have plenty of time, plenty of time.
When will the exam close?
Pardon?
When will the exam close by?
I need to check the dates, but I will give you plenty of time. At the I've got to check my date when I've got to file the grades, which you know the date. Does anyone know the date?
Probably supposed to be like the 8th.
I mean, whatever the date is, I back up 1.5 days from that, 2 days from that, okay? So, you know, you got plenty of time.
6th or the 9th, that's all I can
There's a date time I have to have the grades in. Yes.
What should the people that have to take it in class expect?
People have to take it in class? No one has to take it in class.
Very well.
If you didn't come, remember after midterm, I said, the only reason I have a sign-up sheet after midterm is so that I know when a student asks for help, whether they came to class or not.
I could have sworn you had a thing of people asking to take it in class.
Oh, no, we did that midterm and no one wanted it.
Very well.
But is there a desire for some people to do an exam in class?
Not this semester. I would have actually probably liked to do it the first half, but the last half is a little bit more annoying.
First half gone.
Yeah, thank goodness. But these, we're gonna probably take a little bit more time. Thank you.
You don't want it in class.
I would agree.
Even with, I think the midterm I offered less than half the number of questions, you don't want it in class.
Agreed.
Folks, I want you to do well. You need at home, you need to have quietness, coffee pot, okay? So any questions on anything? Any questions?
I have a security warning saying external data connection has been disabled.
That's because we have the things from access in there, so you have to enable them every time you open it.
No, I'm just making sure it doesn't cause that problem every time.
People just came in, there's a single page handout. Behind you? Behind you. Anyone else? Single page handout? Anyone else? Okay. People that just came in, quiz 16. Actually, not 1:30 yet. But wait. What other questions? Lady over here has a question. What was this security question I just heard? What was that one? What was the issue?
Oh, it was just saying, external data was disabled, so it just asked to enable content. I'm
Yeah.
making sure it doesn't, when I
It's
send it
just
in.
a security issue. Okay?
I had a question with the dynamic name ranges. Whenever you're doing the refers to, when you click on the cell, the A101, and it adds in the chapter 6 and then all of
That's,
that.
yes.
That's
yeah.
okay, or should
That's
I?
okay.
Okay,
That's okay, it's gonna default back.
okay.
Okay? Remember that a range name can be specific to a sheet or to the workbook. Okay? Now, not for this class, not for this assignment, it doesn't matter. But a range name can be specific to a sheet. What does that mean? That means that you could use the same range name on another sheet. If the range name is specific to the sheet, you go to another sheet and use the same range name. If it's specific to the book, then that range name applies to all sheets. Now, this is difficult now. We're not going to do it in this class. You can have a range name that is specific to the Excel application. Remember when you start Excel, you then open a workbook, don't you?
Yeah.
So think of Excel, think of the workbook, and think of the sheet. You can have a range name for the sheet, a range name for the book, and you can have a range name for the actual Excel application. So when you shut down the book, you didn't shut down Excel, when you shut down the book and you open up another workbook, that range name still exists. Now you're saying, what the heck is all this for? Well, you know that our job in accounting is pretty important in most firms. And there's a lot of dishonest people working in firms, and you and I have to be very concerned about that. Well, we can track dishonesty with our employees by knowing how to store memory variables of what they're doing. Okay? But we won't get into it, not in this class. Okay? This is enough. What we've done is enough. Okay, 132. Lady asked about setting up the range name, and what I wanted you to do after you left on Monday is set up both the Y and the X, the Y dependent, X independent, set up both those dynamic range names. Okay? Because I'm going to pick up today with line S. And this lady asked about when creating that range name, I had in my instruction cell 103, row 103, and for most of you, you had to go to 101, and the issue was whether you're in 2013 or 2010. Okay? When I'm at home, I'm working in 210. Because the university, College of Business, our machines have to be converted to 213. In the classroom, it is 213. And when you create that pivot table, remember I said row 100 to create the pivot table, remember? In 213, it moves it up 2 rows. And in 210, it moves it down 2 rows. And that's why you have to be careful, row 103 or row 101. You know what I'm talking about when setting up that range name? Okay, so you've got it done. Okay? Now, let us do line S. Let us do line S. And if you hold your mouse, hold your mouse over line S, tells us what to do. Range of cell, tokens used, line S, X independent, Y dependent. Okay, so I think you all know how to do line S, range off. How many rows? 5 rows, remember, line S requires 5 rows, and the number of columns is determined by the number of variables. We've got 1 dependent, 1 independent, 2 variables, 2 columns. Okay? Now, start typing. Equals LI, the IntelliSense pops up, so I'll take advantage of it, double click. It now wants the known Y's. And when we're back in chapter 8, we would have ranged off those cells, remember? Windor Inc. was the name of the firm. Windor Inc. We ranged off the Y. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start typing Y. And immediately I start typing, look what pops up. It can see that range name. It can see it. So all I have to do is click it, okay, comma. Now we're going to put in the independent variable. It can see it. It can see it. Comma, comma, true, comma, true, for the statistics and the constant. Okay? Close up line S with the closing parentheses. And how do I enter the formula now? Control Shift, enter. Okay? Okay. Now, if you'll just scroll down and look at what we've got to answer. What do we have to answer? Well, if you go to the Del Monte website, don't just take my word for it, they categorize their products by group, subgroup, and by product description. And if you were to look at the number of products that's in the database, it's 300 something products. I forget how many. But what I want you to do is a regression on all vegetables. So let's come down here. Let's select the pivot table so that the pivot pane pops up. And let's drag out the group. And you say, why am I doing it? Well, I just wanted you to see that we're going to put it back again. Okay, the net effect is 0, but I just wanted you to see, in case we forgot from Monday, what we're doing here. Let's put the product group back again. Product group back again. And the first regression we're going to do is vegetables. Let's click on vegetables. Choose OK. Choose OK. Scroll back up. Scroll back up, and I'm going to make sure my calculation is on automatic. It is. There's the regression results. Done. So what happened? What happened? When the pivot table went out to the database and brought in just the data for vegetables, what happened to those dynamic range names? What happened? The dynamic range names did what? They changed, they adjusted. They adjusted depending on the amount of data. And as a result, the line S adjusted. The line S adjusted. Okay? So imagine Imagine if you were at Siemens with 4,000 activities and you were doing a regression for each activity. Do you want to set up 4,000 separate regressions or set up one regression and use the pivot table and dynamic range names to drive it? That's the way to do it. You wouldn't do 4,000 regressions. Yes?
How do you open the pivot table to the side?
Okay, come down to pivot table and click on it.
I keep clicking on it and it doesn't come up.
Okay, go to, click on it, right click, and hide the field list, and it should pop back up again. Unhide it. Okay, click on your pivot table. Okay, now, let's come to our sheet for today. Come for our sheet, come to the sheet for today. Anyone else need to, here, another one. Anyone else? Okay. So what we've got to do is the line S, and we've done it. So starting at the row 40, create the dynamic regression analysis. We've done that. Done that. Now, we've got to put in our t-value. What's the t-value going to be equal to? The coefficient divided by the sum of the error term. Okay? So there's the t-value. Done. Any questions? So I've just finished row 45. Row 45. Everyone with me? Yes.
Did you have to already have done the other regression?
Yes.
Because I missed it like when you did the specific product. I couldn't see like what you dragged.
Okay. First of all, let's start with the sheet. I'll start it again. Row 40. Row 40. We're going to enter the regression. Does anybody need help entering line S? Does anybody need help on this?
Yes.
Ask a question.
When I tried my Y dependent, it didn't show up. Wait, let me try now.
Have you created that variable, that dynamic range name?
It's coming up as reference now. When I did line up.
Answer my question. Have you created the dynamic range name for the Y dependent variable? You had to do it at home after class on Monday.
Yes, I attempted it
done it.
anyways. Let me make sure it actually still works now.
Everyone else okay?
It's still going as reference.
You haven't created it. You haven't
Fine.
created the Y. You have not created the Y dependent variable. Listen up, listen up. Listen up. You need two dynamic range names. On Monday in class we did X independent variable. When we left class I asked you to do at home Y dependent variable. Thank you. Now, we're doing the regression. To do the regression, you need those two dynamic range names. Can't do it without them. Cannot do it without them. You have it? John, you got it?
Yep.
Okay? Now, finished setting up the regression model, line S. And you can see my two dynamic range names sitting in line S. Why am I using two dynamic range names? So this is the gentleman who asked the question, so that when I change the product in the pivot table, I'm now going to go to tomatoes. The data's going to change. The data's going to change. Here we go. Data changed. What else changed? When the data changed, what else changed? As the pivot table, the amount of data dynamically changes in the pivot table, what else changed? Those two range names changed. Those two range names changed automatically. And because the two range names changed automatically, what happened here? The line S changed automatically. The line S changed automatically. Okay? Now, the next thing we needed to enter under line S was the t-value. Excuse me, enter the t-value. That is row 45, the instruction on the handout sheet. Everyone got that done? Everyone okay? No. Well, you gotta get your other dynamic range thing. Okay, now we can move down to the last part, creating a dynamic chart. So we're at row 51. Select cell D50. Okay? Select cell D50. Insert, press insert, scatter. Okay? Insert scatter. Choose scatter with only markers. So click the down arrow, and the first one is scatter with only markers. That's what it's called. Scatter with only markers. Okay? Click on it. There it is. Now we've got to fill it in. Let's go to the next bit. Right click anywhere in the chart. Right click anywhere in the chart. So anywhere in this chart, right click on it and select data. Select data. Now press add. Okay. Type for series X values. So move your active pointer down to series X values. The name of the workbook. Now, the name of the workbook is quite long, isn't it? Okay, and wouldn't it be easy to make a mistake? So, let's do cancel, come out of here, cancel, come out. You know where we're going to go. Come up to File, and won't let me do it here. I wonder why not. I'm going to range it off and copy it. I can in 2010.
Dr. Goldwater, there's another easy way to do it.
Tell me.
If you just click a cell while you're entering and you just delete the cell, it'll give you the workbook name.
Okay, let's go over and we'll do that. Let's do the right click, select data, add, series, Ah, thank you, young man.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
What happened?
Okay, here's what he said, and he's absolutely right. Right click, select data, add, so I'm at row 56 now, series X values, and here's what the student said, just select any cell to the side, okay? And now back up, hit the backspace key. Hit the backspace key, leave the exclamation mark there. Leave the exclamation mark. And now we can type X underscore X independent. Okay? And then for Y series values, range it off, be careful, range it off, hit the backspace key to get rid of it. Everyone with me?
Yeah.
Okay, and as the gentleman said, click to one side to get the sheet name. Okay, I hope I'm not going to have a problem here. I can see a problem. Y underscore DEP dependent. And you'll see I got a typo. Okay, now comes the critical point. I think I'm going to have a problem. If I have a problem, I know what's causing it. It's giving me the sheet name and not the workbook name.
Oh, it worked for me.
It did? Good. Good. I'll talk about it in a moment. Yeah. Okay? Now choose OK. Okay? Choose OK, and there it is. Here's what I was worried about. In my note, I said name of workbook. You see in my note, name of workbook? Anyone want to guess why I said name of workbook and then X independent, Y dependent?
We all have different workbook names.
Because when we set those names up, we set them up as workbook names, not as sheet names, didn't we? And when we used his technique to click on a cell, that didn't give me the workbook, that gave me the sheet name. So what we've got is sheet name X independent, sheet name Y dependent, and I thought I'd get an error message. Okay? I thought I'd get a, pardon?
Do you mind if I get a copy of that?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Anyone else need a copy? Well, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I learned something. What I learned was that Excel must have looked, here's what Excel, think of what Excel did. We gave it worksheet name. It wouldn't have seen it as a worksheet name, and it probably went up to the next level and found it as the workbook name. Okay? Found it as the workbook. Okay, questions? Questions? Now, back to our sheet.
I keep having a problem with like we found a problem with one or more of the formula references in this workbook. Worksheet.
Yours working?
Yes.
I'll buy you a beer. Help me. You okay? Everyone else okay? Okay. click anywhere on the data, right click anywhere on the data, add trend line. It defaults to linear. It defaults to linear, and what we want to do is display the equation and the R square value. There it is. Drag it to one side. Okay? I will get rid of that pane, that window pane. Now, let's have a look. Here's the regression results using line S. Here's the regression results using the chart. Now I'm going to go down to the pivot table and change from tomatoes to fruits. Choose OK. What happened? My chart, regression changed, line S changed. Okay? Okay, let's see where we are. Who needs help?
I don't have like specifically tomatoes or fruits.
Okay, we'll come over to your pivot table.
What do you have as, do you have product description?
Yeah, come over here to your filters. Come to your filters. I'm going to drag the one I've got there out of the way. What you need is product groups description under filters. Product groups, not subgroups.